How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading whether the price is going up or down. Shiba Inu hardware wallets to be delivered on this date. So, for those of you that don't know, Shiba Inu wallet is the brainchild of the meme coin and Tangam, the next generation hardware wallet that can store all of your crypto assets in a simple and secure way. Let's see how secure that actually is. Obviously, don't trust, verify. Following months of development efforts, users who pre-ordered in May are now receiving updates detailing the timeline when their devices will be delivered. One of the email updates by a Shiba Inu community member shows that it will be delivered by July 24th I believe that's for them. This is from a warehouse in Hong Kong. So if you're in a country a little closer to Hong Kong, you're gonna get yours a little sooner. Or if any of my US watchers have bought one, you might have a little longer of a wait. Should the products work as expected, Shiba Inu will become the first meme coin to launch a dedicated wallet for its growing Shibarium ecosystem, and it'll beat most Layer 1s that have yet to do so. So we'll have to see if they can actually blow out of the water and if they can compete with Ledger and Treasure. Thailand follows Singapore, bans crypto exchange from offering lending services. So 2 Asian countries today have announced that they are banning users from lending services. Thailand put a ban on crypto exchanges offering any lending services today, whereas earlier Singapore banned exchanges from offering lending services and staking services to retail customers. So a little bit of difference between the two. The wording of the announcement makes it clear that the ban applies to depository services that offer returns to depositors and lenders, thus outright banning exchanges from offering both lending and staking. This is for Thailand. The Thai SEC also introduced a mandatory trading risk disclaimer, which has to say cryptocurrencies are high risk. Please study and understand the risk of cryptocurrencies thoroughly because you may lose your entire investment. In addition, investor suitability assessments will determine how much users are entitled to invest in crypto, so they'll tell you how much of your own money you get to play with, yet again. The new rules will come to effect July 31st, 2023. The Monetary Authority of Singapore also requires exchanges to move all customer assets into a trust before the end of the year, so that's the only other difference with the other ban. So onto the charts. BlackRock did refile their ETF, just in case you're curious about that. So they did name Coinbase as their custodian, so just like everyone thought they would. So Stochastic's starting to round off here, but we are getting a little bit of a decent pump. We have a little bit of an indecision candle. I'm not able to draw a volume profile. It just won't work for whatever reason on this one chart. RSI is trying to run up, Stochastic's trying to ramp up. Our VWAP's overall getting lower highs and heading down, so watch out for that momentum to start to lose some strength. Our money flow looks like it wants to get through that neutral, but we're still struggling to get past this 1-2 area, so we'll have to see if it can actually break through and gain some momentum, or if we start to roll away here. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are getting a little bit of recovery, suggesting that our altcoins could start to cool off a bit. Zoom out for this profile. Just in case you're wondering, we do have pretty decent volume where we range, but there's really nothing above us, so this profile does go between this drop to right here. We dropped so fast we didn't really make anything sustainable. So our Stochastic is still falling. It's making a little bit of a bounce here. Momentum's getting a little bit of a round. RSI is starting to get a bit of a bounce, so we are looking hopeful for a little bit of a recovery. Our VWAP is starting to curl up, so our momentum may get a green dot that could help push it up as well. Our money flow is still coming out though, so just keep an eye on that. If the money flow starts to go bearish, then we could start some bearish trends. Over on the futures, we are ranging around here in this higher value area, right around 30.5. We are trying to push higher, so we are trying to get toward that higher gap currently. Our Stochastic's kind of diverging. We're getting lower highs as price is ranging. Zoom in a little for you. So stochastic's starting to round off. RSI is getting lower highs, getting another red dot that could bring it down. Our momentum is overall still struggling, as that VWAP's still struggling to determine where it wants to go. We're still just riding above that neutral line, and it doesn't want to go bullish or bearish. Our money flow is pretty much doing the same thing, just on the opposite side of our neutral, so everything's pretty gridlocked and doesn't know where it wants to go, so it's likely we could get a quick move up or a quick move down, so just keep an eye out. Over on Bitcoin, we are ranging pretty decently here. We're just kind of curling up, not really making any kind of a pattern. Might have a little bit of a bull flag we could be breaking out of, so that could be a little bit hopeful for us. But our stochastic's overall losing strength. RSI is trying to push up, momentum's trying to curl up, but overall our momentum's forming a bearish divergence even if it does curl up. Our money flow is in the bullish territory and trying to bounce up, so that is good for us. Our trend is still maintaining bullish momentum, and our VWAP is breaking bullish, trying to get some momentum here. That's why we have that green dot. Over on the 4 hour, our stochastic is trying to push up, but our RSI is starting to curl down with a red dot, so we could see that start to fall away. Our momentum is pretty overbought. We could start to round out here as our VWAP is starting to drop off, so keep an eye on that. We are kind of making a tweezer top as well, and that could bring us lower. However, like I said, we have somewhat of a bull flag here, so that could try to push us up to this higher zone, and then at which point we would fill that higher gap and we could start to fall down from there. Our money flow overall is still coming down on the 4 hour, even though we're trying to push higher, so we still have a little bit of a divergence there and we're not looking too strong. Over on the 2 hour, our momentum wants to kind of come up, but we are losing some steam here. RSI is starting to get a bearish cross and dump down pretty hard. It has a bearish divergence as well. We have a double red dot on that momentum as well, so overall we have quite a few bearish signals right up here. Our RSI is starting to drop. It's trying to maintain this 65, so we'll have to see if it can make a curl. However, if it starts to drop hard with the stochastic, we could see a bit of a sell-off. Our money flow is ramping up currently, so we are looking pretty decent. We do still have that bullish momentum on this medium-low time frame, but our VWAP is starting to break into the bearish territory. That's why we're getting that red dot in our momentum, which if that continues, we could see a little bit of a drop off. Over on the 1 hour, we are starting to kind of round off. We were trying to pump up. We'll have to see if we break through. This is a pretty decent support resistance area, as we have a few candles here, a few candles back there. And if we scroll all the way over here, I'm sure we could find some more. And now I'm just messing everything up. Can't click my over arrow. So overall, we have some support here that we could bounce off on this lower time frame. So if we do get a little bit of a bounce, we could be set up for some further upside. However, if we break down through here, we could see us come back down into this channel, and then we could see some further downside. We could also see, might be able to draw the channel out like that. So this could just be a new top for this channel, at which point that would give us a worse drop than we could have had before. And that could be what brings us near that golden pocket and could suck us down. Our momentum's rounding off, has a red dot. Money flow overall is trying to sustain at this 12 zone. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory, so watch out as that's bringing our momentum down with the red dot. We have that double red dot, stochastic dumping pretty hard with a bearish divergence. So overall we have some bearish signals here on the 1 hour, but we do still have that bullish momentum on the money flow, so just keep an eye out. The 30 minute, we are still looking pretty decent on the money flow right here as well. So over on the daily for graph, we got 2 back-to-back run-up days, so that's really good for anyone holding. But when you see these runs up, sometimes you get some breakdown, so just watch out if you want. If you're worried about any loss, you could take some profit. That's what I would do, but not financial advice. That's just my trading style. Our momentum overall is looking like it could start to round out. If that does happen, we'd set up a bearish divergence that could bring us down. Our RSI is pretty maxed out, so we'll have to see if that starts to round off as well. It likely would if the stochastic starts to weaken. Our VWAP is running up pretty strongly with that momentum, so we do have strength there. Our money flow is trying to push up through that neutral, so we are trying to get bullish momentum here. However, we'll have to see if that can actually break through and sustain with conviction. Otherwise, if it starts to waver and fall away, we could see some downside from here, so just watch out. Over on the 4 hour, our momentum's starting to curl off. We have a double red dot. Stochastic's really tight in the overbought area and overall starting to round off. Our RSI is trying to pump up. VWAP is in the bearish territory, so that could bring our momentum down. Our money flow is trying to make a bit of a bounce after dipping around 5, so that is decent for us. But we are around the 16, which we have struggled to get above. So if we don't get above this, we could come back down and test these other lower channels. We could just see a little bit of a bounce, so just keep an eye out. Over on the 2 hours, stochastic's starting to curl up. RSI is trying to push up. Momentum's overall starting to fall, but could curl up. That VWAP does want to break through that neutral zone, but it's overall struggling, so we'll have to see if it can break through and actually gain some strength. Our money flow is ramping up pretty decently still, so we do have strength on the money flow here on the 2 hour. So we may be able to continue this. However, we are well above where we have been recently for money flow, so it is also possible we could see a little bit of a sell-off as people could take profits, and we have had 2 back-to-back up days. Momentum on our 1 hour is getting bearish divergences all the way across as we're pushing up, but our momentum is overall coming down. Stochastic's doing the same and about to make a bearish cross and could fall. Our RSI is getting a red dot that could push it down, and our VWAP is testing that neutral, so it could break through and give that momentum a red dot that could bring it down as well. So just keep an eye out on the next few candles. Over on the anchor for the daily, we are making a bounce off our value area low, so that is good for us. Our stochastic is starting to curl off though, so that we could see a bit of a cool off here if that does cross bearish and start to drop. Our RSI is struggling to go anywhere, and our momentum's getting lower highs, and we are trying to get a green dot as the VWAP's trying to push through this neutral, but we'll have to see if that VWAP starts to roll over, as it's not looking too strong currently. Could go like this one though. If it does, where it kind of starts a little weak and then picks up, we could get another decent pump. Our money flow looks like it wants to get through that neutral, but it's struggling to push through this too, so we'll have to see if it can manage to break through and actually create a bullish trend on the daily time frame. If it does, we could get another decent run up and maybe reclaim some of these lost support zones. Over on the 4 hour, our stochastic overall is heading down, so we could start to fall away. We did have a bearish divergence and we're pretty gridlocked here, so we could just exaggerate that and actually see it play out this time. Our RSI is starting to point down, momentum's starting to curl over, VWAP is going down toward the neutral line, so we could see a little bit of a cool off. Our money flow is still overall trending down and getting close to that neutral like it wants to break through. So just exercise some caution if we do start to dip into the bearish territory. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic's starting to push away. RSI is starting to fall. Momentum has a bit of a round with a red dot here. Our money flow is trying to push higher. We did get a new high here, at least as of lately, but we are starting to cool off. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory and heading down, so that could bring our momentum down even further. Over on the 1 hour for anchor, if I could go the right direction for it, we are starting to fall on our stochastic. RSI is overall starting to fall, momentum starting to round off. We have a double red dot that is starting to play out. Our VWAP is falling into the bearish territory. We were trying to flatten out, but we are starting to decline a little more. Our money flow is still trending bearish and is getting close to that neutral. So if it does break through, we could start a bearish trend. Overall, we might have a little bit of an ascending triangle here that we could be trying to break up and kind of retest from, but we'll have to kind of see if we break through this zone. We do have decent support resistance as there's a lot of candles here that have touched and a lot of candle wicks as well. Over on XRP, over on the daily, we are trying to get a little bit of a push up. We'll get our volume profile here real quick. We are pushing off that value area high with green candles. We are coming up to this higher volume node, so that could start to push us away. If that does happen, we could break back through this value area high, and we could then test our point control. So just keep an eye out if we start to get some red candles. However, if we get more green candles and actually fill this wick, we could start to push higher. We don't really have much more resistance. You might get some right around where this spike is at 51, and then maybe here around 53. But if we're able to break through those zones, after breaking through like this 49.50 zone, then we could see some new highs, possibly at least some new local highs. Stochastic is trying to run up, RSI is trying to head up, our money flow is trying to ramp up, VWAP is trying to head up, and our momentum is curling up, but it looks like it could start to curl away as our VWAP starting to get a little exhausted and starting to curl. So I would keep an eye on that. Our stochastic is starting to get lower highs as price is trying to get higher highs, so we're setting up bearish divergences. We are starting to round off. Our RSI is starting to get lower highs and starting to curl away as well. And our momentum is starting to get lower highs and could curl away as well. So overall, we're not looking the strongest on the 4 hour in my opinion right now. Our money flow is just riding above that neutral zone, so it wants to break through bearishly, but it's just clinging bullish. Our VWAP is trying to get a bit of a rebound, so that could push our momentum higher. If it does manage to invalidate that bearish divergence, that would help a bullish case. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic's starting to curl pretty aggressive, so we could see a little bit of a drop from that. We could start to fall and get a little bit, our RSI could weaken. Our RSI is already starting to curl off and looking a little indecisive, so that could help drop it. Our momentum is starting to round off, so that momentum could start to push down. Our price is getting lower highs, even the momentum's starting to stay the same, so a little bit of a divergence there. Our VWAP is starting to push away and starting to fall, so that VWAP is starting to break bearish. We're getting close to that neutral. If we do break through that neutral and go bearish, we could see this momentum come down. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic is starting to fall pretty hard. Our RSI is starting to curl, our momentum is starting to fall with a red dot. Our money flow overall is still trending away. We did dip into the bearish territory, but we made a bit of a bounce, so we did push away from it. Our VWAP is heading back down though and getting close to breaking through, so if that VWAP does break bearish, we could see the money flow and momentum start to round off, as our stochastic looks like it wants to dump off too. Over on Algo for the daily, we did come to our value area high, but we got rejected, so we weren't able to sustain that. Our stochastic's really tight, it could start to fall here. RSI is struggling to go anywhere. Our money flow is trying to curl up, but overall still struggling to get past this 11 zone. Our VWAP's not really looking that strong right now. We'll need it to kind of sharply come up a little bit more if we're going to push it any harder. Our momentum's nowhere to be found because our VWAP is so weak. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic's overall heading down. We are getting a bearish cross, so that could start to bring us down a little bit. We could retest this point control as we just touched that value area high not that long ago. Our RSI is starting to push down, momentum's starting to come down with a red dot. Our money flow is testing neutral, so if that does break bearish, we could set up some bearish momentum. Our VWAP is about to break bearish as well, so I would definitely keep an eye on the next few candles. If we do break through that point control, we could see a pretty strong move to that value area low. Our stochastic is starting to fall, momentum's starting to fall on the 2 hour. We did have a double red dot not that long ago that is pushing us down. Our money flow is ramping up, VWAP is pushing away, so we are looking at some indicators like the stochastic that's rounding wants a signal we're going to go bullish, but our VWAP is trying to push away, so that could bring our momentum down. If that does happen, then our money flow might start to curl off. Our stochastic overall is heading down, so don't be fooled just because it's trying to curl right now. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic is in the oversold area and pretty beat down. RSI is overall starting to slide, it doesn't really have any strength. Momentum's getting close to breaking through that neutral. Our VWAP did break through the neutral and maintained bearish momentum. We retested that neutral twice, but rejected both times, so we are making a third bottom. We are trying to come up on that VWAP, so we'll have to see if it can push through or not. If it gets rejected again, we could see a new low form, and we could see everything else start to push off. Our money flow is just trying to cling in, so we do have that going for us. If this money flow starts to reject away, we could see some bearish trends form, and we could see some more downside. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.